Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kill the Can podcast. I'm your host, Chewy. Do you want to quit nicotine and take back control of your life? We'll tell you how we've done it and answer the questions you didn't even know you had about how you can quit today. For today's episode, I'm joined by Kill the Can member MNxEngineer. And I have to say, so first I have to come with hat in hand and apologize. So we recorded this episode on St. Patrick's Day, and I think the little leprechaun was playing games because as I sat down to post this episode, I realized that about the first half an hour or so of our conversation was not recorded. And that is 100% my fault, and I can't even begin to tell you how bummed I am that that's the case, because we had a really awesome conversation. We started and we talked about alcohol use. We talked about how alcohol use is similar to, or how cutting back on our alcohol is very similar in many respects to cutting back on nicotine, and about how we are using some of the same tools to cut back on alcohol that we did when we cut out nicotine. Again, so here's what I can promise you. I can promise you that we'll certainly have to have Jared back on the podcast again to kind of rehab that conversation. I can't even tell you how upset I am, but again, in the interest of full accountability and transparency, that's what happened. We lost basically the first half of the podcast. That being said, we did get some really good information, some really good discussion here around fake dip and usage of fake dip. I did get to the bottom of what his screen name actually means and what it stands for. So I asked him that, and we talked a little bit about the move from Discord. To Discord from the forums and those kind of things. If you're a longtime Kill the Can member, you'll know kind of what it is we're talking about. So. Back on the alcohol thing, just a couple thoughts here. Jared has done a really good job of cutting back his alcohol use, and it's something that I have to give him a lot of credit for and a lot of props for. He has really helped me to tackle that same thing as well. Since the pandemic, so, 3 years ago this week, in fact, 3 years ago, I was sent home from work on March the 13th. And as I'm recording this intro, it's March the 18th. So literally 3 years ago this week, kind of the world shut down, right? And for the greater part of that 3 years, I've been at home and the world has been shut down. And, and again, at this point, we're coming out of it. But, I can tell my personal drinking went skyrocketed. In fact, when we were discussing it, I think I made the comment, which is true, that in the majority of those 3 years, I can count on one hand the number of nights that I didn't have a drink. Rarely to excess, but just the number of times was just significantly more than it had been pre-pandemic. Jared and I had talked several times over the last several months about this, and it's been really good for me personally to have somebody like that to kind of bounce some ideas off of, and talk through those kind of things. Again, very similar to what we do at Kill the Can every single day when it comes to quitting nicotine. I think it's really important to understand that and again, I hate to use the word, but the quote unquote system that we use at Kill the Can, the concepts of accountability, the concepts of one day at a time, the concepts of, don't worry about forever. They work not only when it comes to quitting nicotine, but they work for a lot of other things in your life. They work for if you want to quit alcohol, if you want to lose weight, if there are other things, if you want to get back in shape, there are other things, you want to read more, there are other things in your life that you can apply that system to and get some really amazing results. So, again, I have to apologize again that we had some technical difficulties and we lost the first, I think it was probably 25 minutes or so of this conversation. So again, I have to apologize again to Jared, but I'm thrilled that he and I were finally able to get our schedules to link up, and I can promise you that this will not be the last time that you hear him on the podcast, because he is an amazing guy, an amazing quitter, and an amazing friend. And I'm really glad that we had the opportunity and I was able to capture at least this little bit of this conversation. So without any further ado, here is my abbreviated conversation with the one and only MNxEngineer. Thanks, folks. Talk to you soon.